Hello, my name is Jeenaev and welcome to JNWN. In JNWN, we share news from all around the world. What kind of news? Business, financial, and economic news. In this episode, we're going to be discussing the top stories of November 2020. At the beginning of each story that I discuss, I'll display the sources used and cited so that you, the viewers, can see where I got my information from. Also, according to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. So if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. Firstly, let's talk about not just one, but three breakthroughs in the race of discovering a COVID-19 vaccine by Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca. While Pfizer is the 57th largest company in the world by revenue, Moderna has never sold a drug in the market. Meanwhile, AstraZeneca is a company that is partnered with Oxford University. Both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are based on brand new vaccine technology called mRNA. But what is mRNA? Well, mRNA is short for messenger RNA. It doesn't need any parts of the virus to get to the immune system to produce protective antibodies for the virus. If the Food and Drug Administration in the US approves it, it would be the first ever vaccine authorized that uses mRNA. But how effective are these vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna? Well, the Moderna vaccine has an efficacy rate of 94.5%, while the Pfizer vaccine has an efficacy rate of about 90%. This is a big deal because the average efficacy rate of the flu vaccine is just 40%. However, a huge issue has arisen in terms of the storage and transportation for these vaccines. Moderna's vaccine can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius for 30 days, where the normal temperature found in a home refrigerator. However, the Pfizer vaccine has to be kept in minus 70 degrees Celsius, with the vaccine being able to last up to 5 days with that refrigeration. But what about AstraZeneca, the British-Sweden pharmaceutical company partnered with Oxford University? Well, when volunteers were given half a dose of the vaccine and a full dose 1 month apart, the efficacy rate was 90%. Great, right? But when volunteers were given a vaccine, 2 full doses of the vaccine, at least 1 month apart, the efficacy rate was just 62%. An overall analysis of both testing types resulted in a 70.4% efficacy rate. The vaccine uses what is considered a harmless and weakened version of a common virus that causes colds in chimpanzees. It is genetically modified so that it cannot grow in humans. Now, let's talk about international defense, specifically in more recent news, the Open Skies Treaty. Its action items were implemented on January 1st, 2002, with currently 34 countries having signed it, including Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Russia, the UK, Spain, and the US. Recently, US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced that the US would be withdrawing from the Open Skies Treaty, as, after all, Russia was not following the rules of the treaty. Those rules included unarmed reconnaissance flights over other countries to collect data on their military force activities, with the original idea being for countries to prevent misunderstandings. For example, assuring a potential opponent is not about to go to war. It was originally proposed to USSR Premier Nikolai Budganin by President Dwight Eisenhower in 1955. However, it was rejected before agreeing to the treaty in the late 20th century. In 2018, then Defense Secretary Jim Mattis told Congress that he believed it was in our nation's best interest to stay in the Open Skies Treaty. Daniel Larson, an author at the American Conservative, has also explained that if the treaty had been implemented in 1955, a lot of crises regarding nuclear weapons and the Cold War could have been averted. However, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is correct that Russia has not been following the rules of the treaty. Russia has imposed limits on flights near Kaliningrad, an area between Poland and Lithuania, where the Russian military is extremely strong. While many argue that the treaty is necessary for global cooperation, others argue that this means that while Russia could still hold unarmed reconnaissance flights in the US is restricted to do the same in Russia. Finally, and our last story of the day, the General Services Administration, the agency tasked with ensuring a smooth transition between presidential administrations, has let Joe Biden know that the Trump administration is ready for a formal transition to begin. However, Biden's transition team has not waited for the formal transition process to begin in order to prepare for the presidency. They have already announced several candidate picks, including Antony Blinken as Secretary of State, who was a Deputy National Security Advisor and Deputy Secretary of State under 44th President Barack Obama. Another cabinet pick included Linda Thomas Greenfield, who was an American diplomat, and she will be the next ambassador to the United Nations. However, the delay in a formalized transition process meant that the Biden administration couldn't access, or Biden team to be precise, couldn't access government data or discuss with federal agencies for 2 weeks after declaring the victor, along with being locked out of $6.3 million in government funding that is now available for the transition. Johannes Abraham, executive director of the Biden transition team, said that a formalized transition is a needed step to begin tackling the challenges facing the nation, including getting the coronavirus pandemic under control and the economy back on track. Thanks for watching. Please press the subscribe button, the like button, and turn on the notification bell if you enjoyed this video. That's the top stories of November 2020. I'm Jeenaev, and this is JNWN.